Hello and welcome to a new video on a new channel. We're going to do a playthrough of the game Loop Hero. This was released yesterday on the 4th of March, developed by 4 Quarters and published by Devolver Digital. This game is a roguelike in the sense that you're not expected to beat it necessarily on your first loop, and indeed you probably can't beat it on your first loop. But it has some fairly unique mechanics. It almost has a auto-battle-like system, where you have no control over it and your character will just attack away, so you literally just equip them up to go on this expedition. There's also a light deck building mechanic and synergies between the cards you have in your deck. We were hoping to do this video yesterday, but due to a number of factors, for example, my kitten was neutered yesterday and just came out of the vet as this was released. And then my monitor broke as I was doing a recording. So I'm back here now, restarting from scratch. I should mention I have now played an hour of this in a recording that I've lost, but we'll do a fresh game so that everyone can see what's going on. Especially since I don't know if the story is narrated through as well without seeing the tutorial. And so far I've been enjoying the story. Needless to say, if you're a fan of pixel art, this game has some glorious pixel art, quite dark and murky fantasy styling to it. Okay, let's get to it without further ado. So I'm going to select a new start, I'm not going to skip the tutorial, and let's go. The stars in the sky are going out one by one. But no one notices it, no one can stop it. I'm racing to the last place where there is still hope. I need to make it before it is too late. Sounds of agony will quickly fade. The world will be destroyed, even the memory of it will be gone. And even if there is absolutely no chance of bringing it all back, there will always be someone who is willing to do the impossible. In a place without space, without time, without memories. Where am I? I can't see anything except this path. My head is killing me. I remember only a skeleton with a staff in the sky. This darkness was coming from him. Did he destroy everything around here? Just standing here won't do me any good, I guess. So this is into the tutorial now. You can see here, again, pixel graphics. This is our character at the camp at the moment. And we're going to travel along this path. The length of the path seems to change between scenarios, but it's fixed for the tutorial. So currently we're in a pause state, which is called the planning phase. And to switch between the two, you can right click or space. So if I right click now, I'll start to go into adventure mode and move around this map. Hope I'll be able to find some shelter before nightfall, if such a thing as night still even exists without a sky, of course. Pay attention to the day progress bar at the top of the screen. New enemies usually appear at the end of each day. So if you hover over the tiles at the moment, so these are wasteland tiles that we're passing along, there's absolutely nothing here, well, except slime. So there's a 5% chance of spawning a slime once a day. Our day bar is highlighted up here, is here. When it fills, we have a 5% chance on every tile of a slime spawning. So again, we're going to right click to go out of planning and into adventure. A living ball of slime. Quite a nuisance. They digest anything they can. Hey, I remembered this creature. Maybe I just need to freshen up my memory and everything will go back to normal. Travelling, fighting and most other actions are done automatically. The player can't affect them directly. So when I unclick here, we'll start auto-attacking. For now, this is just a one-on-one battle, so the slime will hit me, I'll hit the slime. But we'll get scenarios in the future where there are multiple enemies and you can't select which one you're targeting. Your character will just automatically go through the battle. So as this is the tutorial, this is quite a simple enemy. It's hard to fight with your bare hands. I think there's a weapon in the remains of this thing that's not fully digested. So here on the right you can see your equipment that we get from defeating mobs. And if you hover over it, it says the stats. So this sword does its raw damage of 4 to 6 and has no other effect. So we can simply drag this onto our equipment bar, and like many other RPG games, it just goes into the sword slot. I think I remember that there was a grove nearby. Are these things even my memories, or do they belong to that of the slime? So this is the deck building mechanic. So we have a grove here. So a gentle rustle of leaves, a crack of dry branch, and a feeling of being watched. So this tile will spawn a rat wolf every 2 days. The wolf can move to an adjacent tile. So as the tutorial states, we're going to put this on our path, and a rat wolf can now spawn here. Or can also move to the adjacent tiles, and we'll continue our journey. So day's about to take over in the top left, and a rat wolf has spawned. And again, just one mob, not a problem for us right now. Forest rat wolf. I was right, some emotional stress, a few colourful images and a bit of adrenaline, and everything will be forgotten like a bad dream. Or remembered as a bad damn. It's good that nobody's listening. Very meta from the game here. I quite like how the gameplay also impacts onto the story, and certain mechanics are told through the story. It's very interesting. So now we have some new tiles, so forest and rock. Hovering over forest, it says a thick forest nobody knows who or what could be lurking inside. It makes you a bit nervous. So the forest isn't placed on a road, it has to be placed anywhere else. So for now, let's say we'll make our forest in the top left over here. And this gives us +1 hero attack speed. We've also got a rock. Its magnificent appearance gives you strength. So this gives us additional HP and 2 more HP for every adjacent rock or mountain. So this, as I mentioned in the beginning, hints at the synergies from the deck building mechanics. We want to put rocks together. And ideally we'd have rocks and mountains together in our deck when we can change this. So for now we're going to put the rock in the top corner on the other side. We also picked up a pole arm, which has the same raw stats but also gives us 2 defenses. So it's a natural improvement, and we'll equip it. Great, so there was a mountain over there, and here is a forest. The world is just like new. The branches and stones in my backpack are a sure sign of that. So up here it's highlighting our backpack. There are some actions that will yield resources that we'll need later on. It says for not right now, but this is a mechanic later on where we're going to start building a campsite. So for now, from placing those rocks and the forest, we've got preserved rock and a stable wood. We right click to continue. Again, a new day is about to progress, and we've hit our camp and completed 1 loop. I think it's time to get some rest. The game itself is a journey on a looped path, only you will decide when it's time for the hero to return to the camp. Either you or the fangs and claws of your enemies, of course. You can retreat almost any time, but a special animation will let you know when it's safe to do so. So this is almost a gambling aspect to the game. You want to try and do as many loops as possible, because you get more difficult enemies. So at the moment it's showing we're on loop 2 on the tutorial, and it tells you the loop counter affects enemies' level and the level of the equipment found. So you want to get stronger loot to be able to eventually beat a boss, but at the same time you don't want to make it too difficult at that you would die. As I mentioned before, it's almost certain you're not going to win this on your first run, and you're expected to retreat, keep your resources, and improve your character elsewhere, and then come back onto another expedition. So for now the tutorial is making us retreat. If you retreat on the camp tile, so the completion of the loop, you get to keep all your resources. But I know from previous play, if you retreat anywhere else, you lose a portion of your resources, and if you die, you lose much more of your resources. So let's retreat for now. So again, this screen's just mentioning what I say. We're going to lose no resources because we're retreating on the safe camp tile, and we'll get to keep all the resources. So let's retreat. It's cold and dark here. A small fire can solve both these problems. A nice place to set up camp. This is when all resources you've gathered will come in handy. Who would have thought you have just enough wood and stones to make it a campfire? What a nice coincidence. So build a campfire using the building function while in a camp. So this is our camp screen. So we're going to build and select the campfire, which is all we can build at the moment, and place it in the only tile. But, so congratulations, you've beaten this annoying tutorial. You can now start your first expedition, or not. Do as you wish. So in the build menu, I'll just highlight this again. There is now additional things we can place if we get the resources. So there is something that needs wood, stone, and some other resource. I think it's food or rations. That could give us a field kitchen. And the field kitchen can give us a buff to the campfire's healing power. So something that wasn't mentioned on the tutorial is when you complete a loop, you regain a certain portion of your health. And this will improve it, so that increases your survivability. There's a herbalist hut that gives you potions, and a smithy which will unlock the ability to craft tools for the camp. And lets us start with basic warrior gear when we start. So we start at a higher attack level effectively, so it's easy to kill mobs and we take less damage. For now we have no resources, so we need to go on another expedition. So let's start with the warrior again. This path, everything is wrong, but I remember. It looks like a completely different place and it's empty again. Do my actions have any meaning? Again, the story playing lovely into the game mechanics. We've gone back to loop level 1 now on this expedition, and mobs are all weak again. Like I have a choice. If I need to give up and cry to save the world, I am the worst saviour of all. Let's do it. So again, we have no equipment. We lose all equipment from our last run. And we're going to fight a single slime here. A day ticked over, and we should comfortably beat this on the first loop. So I again pause it to go into planning. We've got a rock. Let's set our mountains and rocks up on this side now. Again, this gives us HP as I mentioned before. We took very minimal damage, only 8 from this one slime, so we should be able to complete this loop pretty comfortably. There's also a speed here, so I've set this onto a faster speed as I've played before, but you can always slow it down if you need more time. Or you can pause at any time in between. So again, we've now unlocked some new tiles. So the spider cocoon, a silky bastion of 8-legged hunters. So this spawns a spider on an adjacent tile once a day, and this is guaranteed. So let's put it on this inside tile here, so the spiders can spawn on all 5 of these tiles. And we've got a vampire mansion. Hungry eyes follow your every move through the holes in the roof, as vampires to battles on adjacent tiles. Again, this has to go adjacent to a roadside, so we're going to place it here and it will affect these 3 tiles. So spiders on these 3 tiles will also be fighting a vampire at the same time. You might be asking why we want to make this difficult. As I mentioned before, the reason we want to make it difficult is that more difficult enemies drop better loot, and we need to power up to be able to defeat a boss. Additionally, the more tiles we're placing, we're filling up this map completion meter, and at a certain point a boss will spawn. We also got an axe, which is an upgrade from having no weapon, so we'll equip that. And we'll continue. This time it's 2 slimes. Again, shouldn't be much of a problem for us at the moment. And let's pause again. We have a mountain. So it's like the rock, but really big. So this gives 5 HP for each adjacent rock and mountain. So again, it benefits us from placing them together with one another. We've also now got a shield, which we'll place here, that just gives us 3 defense. An armor, which gives us max HP. And an equivalent weapon, so we'll just leave that for now. The warrior can only equip things in the more highlighted slots. So at the moment we can only have armor, a shield, a ring, and a weapon. I'm not sure how we unlock these over time, so maybe it's things we do in the camp, but we'll find out as we progress through the game. So, the other thing I like to have open, and I forgot to do before, is the show item resources. I like having this in the top corner. So at the moment we have 2 preserved pebbles, which presumably have come from placing these 2 tiles. But let's continue. Again, a single slime shouldn't be much of a problem. A day has passed, so a spider has now spawned down here. Again, single slime, fine. We have another rock which I'll place adjacent to the mountain. And we now have this grove tile, which we had in the tutorial. So this is the one that spawns a rat wolf. This area is becoming more difficult, so I don't really want to have the rat wolf over there. So let's have this over on this side of the map, close to our camp, and continue again. So again, on the first loop, you'd probably expect to beat every enemy quite comfortably. Now we have a meadow. So earth covered with a thick carpet of grass, nothing really interesting unless you're a cow, of course. So this heals 2 HP at the start of each day. Interestingly, the Meadow also has a hidden synergy, which I found out on a previous run that we lost. So if you place this next to a different tile than a meadow, it becomes a blooming meadow. So hovering over this, it says flowers get a feel for the world and bloom with pleasant smells. So instead of healing 2 each day as the normal meadow would do, this heals for 3 at the start of the day. So it's going to be very interesting as we progress through this game to find these hidden synergies that aren't immediately apparent. So again, single slime, comfortable battle for us. I'm going to pause it. So we have a ring, damage to all. So this is a modifier that will let us attack multiple enemies at the same time. I love it. Excellent against spiders, which seem to spawn more often because they have 100% chance of spawning. We have armor, which is just better by 2, and a weapon that's still no better. Passing through the grove, we've picked up some stable branches, and we've picked up a noticeable change. So 20 of this form a complete metamorphosis, and a ration. Again, I'm not 100% certain where we've picked these up from. I assume it's from placing these 2 tiles here. Again, it's not mentioned, there's sometimes hidden effects. We've got another meadow, which I'm going to place on this side of the rock to become a blooming meadow again. This gave us some rations, so that must be where they came from. And let's continue. Oh, sorry, before we continue, we have a shield, which again is just better. It's 1 more defense and gives us regen, which is very useful because we have no other way of healing right now, other than completing loops. So let's equip this and continue. So a day passed and we passed our camp. So if I'd been on the camp tile, I could have retreated for free, but there's no reason to. I got healed to 100% HP, and we're not struggling right now. As I said, we might change when we come down here where it's more dangerous. The other thing which we mentioned before is as we complete the loops, the enemies are getting tougher. So we have to scale up our attacks fast enough before we get killed. So we have another mountain. Let's place this up here with the other mountains where there's this adjacency synergy. And let's continue. Again, it's quite slow on the start. We have a single slime, which we, again, can comfortably beat. Now we have another grove and a spider cocoon. Let's have the spider cocoon over here, which this time should affect these 6 tiles. And we have a grove. Let's put the grove here, as we have nothing else over here. And continue. So we picked up the resources as well as we went through that grove. Days passed, so we spawned more enemies. So we have 2 spiders in this tile. Spiders, again, like slimes, aren't too difficult to overcome, but they can swarm if you take so long to get around your loop. You can have 3 or 4 on a single tile. We have another meadow, which we'll place against the mountain to become blooming, and a sword that is no improvement. This must be our first interaction with the vampire. Back off, human. A vampire? Where are your lands? If your farmers need help, I would be glad to offer it. I don't think he needs help from farmers, but... No more lands, no more flock, only hundreds of years of emptiness. And hundreds of years of hunger. Clearly his mask failing there. Save yourself while you still can. I don't know how long I will be able to keep my head straight. What? Hundreds of years are you talking about? Your mind is easy to trick, but you can't trick my hunger. It demands its share. Every sip, every drop of blood will go to satiate it. I'm too weak, but you can help me and I will set this crumbled world right. Right, I'm doing this. I'm doing this not just for myself, but for everyone. Sorry about that. In the name of God. Sorry about that, just had to grab a drink, something got stuck in my throat. Let's continue. So be grateful for my hard work and just let me bleed you dry. So now we're fighting both a spider and a vampire. The vampire is much tougher. You can hover over them to see stats. So this is doing 11 damage. And it's also classed as undead vampire and has a soul. And has vampirism, so it's healing off its attacks. Vampires often owned our lands. They kept the peace and helped our settlements to prosper. But this won't do at all. Now they are just pale shadows of their former selves, both physically and mentally. Apparently the blood of other creatures can't sustain them. He wasn't joking about the hunger. Even the creatures that stand near him are imbued with the power to devour someone else's life. So again, let's pause here. We have a rock, which we'll place with the mountains, and a meadow that we'll place against it. And continue. Single slime should be no problem for us right now. So we have a new sword, again not as good. A shield that's definitely not as good. We've also picked up this Oblivion card. So Oblivion, a bit of the Lich's magic causes anything to be totally forgotten. So this can raise any established tiles or erase monsters from a road. So in the future, if we have too many spiders on a tile here and we're worried about dying to it, we could obliviate the monsters. Or if we think we've made an area too difficult, we can just obliviate the mansion so it stops spawning vampires. For now, I'm quite comfortable with our difficulty, so let's continue. So new day's gone, spiders spawned. We have another meadow, which for now I'm going to place here. Again, single slime, comfortable for us. This gives us another piece of armor, which is worse, and a beacon. So a worthless landmark in a world with no direction. Plus 4% movement speed within its range, and plus 20% attack speed for all units. So it's important to note that this is affecting both us and the enemies. So the only real benefit we get off this is if we have an effect that benefits from being procced more. So in the future we might be able to pick up vampirism, so it benefits us to attack more against a mob that doesn't have any effects, because we get the vampirism procs. So for now we're not going to put the beacon near the vampire mansion, because they have vampirism as well, so it would benefit them. I'm going to keep this over by the spiders. So we'll have it affecting these 3 tiles here. And we'll continue. Single rat wolf, which should be no problem. We have another mountain tile, which I shall place here to make this blooming. A slime just spawned on the tile that we were on as the day progressed. And we got some more rocks, which I'll place in the centre here. We're about to hit the camp. I'm still comfortable with progressing on to the next loop. We should heal close to full over the camp. So it says that we're healing 20% upon entering. So yeah, this should be enough to take us to full. So 2 spiders again now. They've got more difficult because we're on loop 3. So again, we'll hopefully get better loot off them. And we've got our first level 2 shield. A nice thing about this is you can equip in battle. If you hover over an item, it will pause the battle. This shield has a better defense, but no regen. I think I'll just take the stats for now. I don't think 0.6 regen is really helping us that much. And I think this is an improvement. Again, not sure yet how defense relates to your attack. I don't know if it's just a straight subtraction from your attack roll. It's something we'll have to try and figure out as we progress. We now have a road lantern. So a small spot of light in this grim world decreases the maximum number of monsters on adjacent tiles, and the effect of lanterns can stack. So this is good to stop being swarmed by mobs. So for now I think I'll place this over here, by where we have the spiders and vampires. Because we don't want too many spiders to spawn in a single tile, and they definitely spawn every day. We're also getting to the point now where we have so many monsters in the loop that day is passing multiple times before we complete a loop. Also, if you notice now, the map completion is steadily rising. We're about 20% of the way there to summoning the boss. So there will be a lot of play time when we get to the boss, whether or not we want to spawn it on the current loop or we just want to hold our cards, not place anything and don't spawn it. So this tile wasn't affected by the beacon, so we shouldn't see the improved attack speed. We have another mountain. Stick it up here. Day passed again, so we should have had more monsters spawning on tiles. We have another Oblivion, which I'll keep a hold of. Our Rat Wolf spawned on our tile as we walked onto it. Again, should be pretty comfortable, but you can see now we're starting to hemorrhage HP. We nearly need to get improved armour and a much improved weapon. This is a considerable improvement, so we'll definitely be equipping this. And hopefully now we can kill enemies faster than they are killing us, because it was getting a bit worrying there. And we're also coming up to 3 spiders here, which I think we should still be able to beat, but we could have considered using an Oblivion here. Remember as well, we have this damage to all, so hopefully these swarms won't be too bad for us. So much improved weapon, we're almost one-shotting these spiders now. And with the damage to all, we have won this quite comfortably. So we have now got a shield with 1 less defense but 10% vampirism. And I will trade that because that is some form of sustain because we're at 50% HP. And this scimitar, I don't think it's worth it to gain plus 8% attack speed to practically in fact more than half our damage. We've also picked up this cemetery card, a place for the dead and some of the living occasionally. So this spawns a skeleton every 3 days. So let's put this on this quite clear part of the loop at the moment and carry on. So there's another day, another spider. In 2 days we'll get the first skeleton. We've got again quite a full tile here, but we should be able to beat these. They're quite simple mobs. We've now got a level 4 shield. So this is 10 plus defense with the exchange for 10% vampirism. This is probably worth it at the damage we're doing at the moment. We're probably only healing about 2 or 3 off every hit. So I think I would rather take 10 more off their attack, assuming that's how it works. We've picked up another mountain tile and an additional shield, which is just worse, so we won't equip this. But we'll place this mountain here. Again, a hidden synergies happens, which I have seen before in my playthrough before that we got lost. So this has now become a mountain peak, these 9 3x3 grid of rocks and mountains. So a stone giant could support the sky itself if it weren't already gone. So this gives us a plus 120 HP, which is a huge amount for this point in the game. And we get 5 additional HP for every adjacent mountain or rock tile. So this also spawns a harpy every 2 days, and the harpy will go to a random point on the road from what I can tell. Single slime, comfortably beat again. We have a ring with 10% evasion versus damage to all. I think I'll take this for now. Damage to all has been nice, but it's only minimal amount. We're about to hit our 4th loop. So we've got another vampire mansion on a rock. The rock will place adjacent to the mountain, and this has now spawned a goblin camp. So the sound of backstabbing can be heard from miles away. So this spawns a goblin on an adjacent tile once a day. So this is a guaranteed spawn, and it appears for every 10 mountain rock tiles. So again, this was another hidden synergy which we didn't know until we placed the 10th tile. So every 10 tiles we'll get a random goblin village spawn. Goblin camp spawn. We'll see how we are when we come around there, but we could choose to Oblivion it now just to remove it. But I think I'll keep it for now. So this time we didn't heal to full. We have a weapon that's worse, a ring that gives us just plus 4 magic damage. I'm not sure how this plays against monsters. I assume certain ones are weak to magic damage, but I think I'll keep the 10% evasion for now because we are becoming perilously close to a low amount of health and then dying, which we don't want. Again, we have another sword, worse than the one before. We did pick up this Vampire Mansion card. I don't want to place it right now because, as I said, I think our loop is difficult enough for us and we want to make sure we survive. So I'm going to keep hold of this for now. Another day just passed, so monsters have spawned on multiple tiles. And we've got a lot of cards off this. So we now have a treasury. The thick walls guard all kinds of riches from thieves and previous owners. So this gives a random resource after placing anything on an adjacent tile, and it can't be placed adjacent to anything. So for now we'll put this in this corner and try to open it with some of our cards. So let's use a Meadow to start filling this up, the spaces around it. I think I'd prefer to keep the mountain up here because we need the HP for now. We've also picked up another cemetery that spawns a skeleton. We have a skeleton spawn right now. I don't want to place it. We're still pretty tetchy on the amount of health we have left. Let's see how we are after this loop. We also got our first goblin spawn and a harpy spawn. Fortunately, we don't have to deal with the harpy till the next loop. We've got our first battlefield. It smells of blood and steel. So this will spawn a chest at the start of each loop. Enemies on adjacent tiles can become ghosts. So if we place this here and the skeleton dies, we could get a ghost. And as I said, I'm still worried about the difficulty we're at the moment, so I think I'm going to just place this up here. So we'll hopefully get the chest spawn with no chance of a mob becoming a ghost. We have another grove. Again, I might keep hold of this for now, because we're a bit cautious. I might place these more after we get around this difficult corner and see where we are then. So again, we're near the vampire mansion, so we have a vampire on this tile, which is going to do a lot of damage to us. It's also life stealing, so it's got good survivability. This is a much better arm, so let's equip this immediately. So it gives us more attack speed and 3 times the amount of HP, which we desperately needed. Another vampire tile. They also changed, so we might have a monster spawning on the next tile. So I'm just going to quickly pause this. Yes, we have 2 spiders here. So let us place our meadow down here, become blooming, and let's start placing mountains and rocks to give us the adjacency HP bonus. We have to be aware though that when we hit our 20th tile, so multiples of 10, we'll get another goblin camp. And at the moment we don't really know how strong the goblins are. We've also got another shield here which is just worse than the one we have equipped, so we'll just leave it. I should have mentioned before, when your equipment fills over, the last slot gets destroyed and it becomes a new resource called scrap metal. So there is a benefit to just letting this stuff fall off the screen. So it's 2 spiders, but again we should beat this without dying. We have a sword that's worse than what we have, the axe we have, sorry. And we've picked up another grove. Again, I'll hold on to this for now. We have a new level 2 ring, which is the same as the old one. Let's keep it as it is. Another road lantern that can limit spawns. So I think now we'll put this over by the goblin camp. Ideally I'd like to affect all 3 tiles, but I can't. So I think I'll take the more bang for my buck and affect these 3 tiles. So our first fight against a skeleton. We don't do much damage and it's doing a lot to us, so this could be a bad end. Clearly difficult mob. It's given us, again, a better armor with vampirism. We desperately needed this HP for sustain, so I'm happy to see this. Again, we could decide to retreat now. I think we can still beat the goblin, so let's carry on. So we did get another spawn here and another 2 goblins here. I might obliviate this one. We'll see how we are after this tile. Stop. Where did these goblins come from? I don't remember remembering you. We remembered ourselves. Now give us all you've got. You have no idea what's going on, right? Why don't you help me restore order to this world first, and then you can do anything you want. Goblin must rob. No other order in the world. Very gobbo. Fair enough. Guess I don't have any valid objection here. Oh wait, I do have one. How about an into combat? So we're targeting this goblin first, which I'm happy about because it was clearly stronger. I got another shield, which gives us damage to all, which I think will be very useful right now. I think I will swap this 3 defense, even at a perilous situation at the moment, just to try and clear these multiple enemies faster. And we should survive through this battle. It's strange how how these creatures appeared here on their own. Maybe it means everything is actually not so bad, and that the world is trying to restore itself. Or that even in the apocalypse it isn't enough to get rid of some pests. So I'm going to quickly pause here. We have another mountain, which we'll stick over here. A rock, which I'll keep over here for now. I'm slightly worried about the goblins at the moment, so I think I might use two of my oblivions. I think I'm going to clear this, and I'll clear the camp, so we don't have to deal with it in the future. We're also about to spawn another one, so it's becoming a bit tetchy, but we need all the HP we can get. As I mentioned, since this is like a roguelike, you're probably not expected to win on your first loop. And we're probably going to have to retreat at some point, but I'd like to go as far as I can to get these resources. As you might have noticed, some of these resources have now changed. So when we get 10 pieces of pebbles, we get 1 preserved rock. If we get 12 pieces of stick, we get a stable wood. So there is a benefit to staying as long as you can to try and get these to tick over into the better resources. So 2 slimes should be comfortable, especially with the damage to all, and we have vampirism. So we're now healing 8 on a hit. So we're actually out healing their damage. We've only healed to about maybe a third of our HP there or thereabouts on this loop. Everything's got more difficult now. I have another mountain, which I'll place here, and I don't think I want to place any of these for now. We're coming up to another potentially difficult tile. We could retreat here for free, and I might just do that, just keep these resources we have. This loop will get much more difficult. I have no more oblivions to remove this. It would have been nice to pick up this chest, but I'd rather keep all the resources for now. So let's return to camp. We get to keep everything. We don't lose anything. Let's retreat. I can't believe it. Hey everybody, the boy has managed to return. Not sure I appreciate being called the boy, but we'll let it slide. Survivors? Does this mean I'm not alone anymore? Where did you come from? Is there still a place without darkness? We don't know where we came from, or we can't remember. These people you see are only a small part of what's left of the group, I think. You're not sure? We're not sure. We reached that conclusion because of the abandoned luggage and leftover daily rations. With each day, new signs of presence of people that, as far as everyone here knows, have never been with us. It's like we forgot them. You forgot? Exactly. It's like people disappear every day and we instantly forget they even existed. Almost as if we forgot the place we came from, and our families, and maybe even ourselves. My name is Yotta. That's the part I still remember. Nobody else's memory is in much better shape. That's why I remember so little about myself. Everything is forgotten. But wait, you said that I'd managed to return. That means you remembered I was here. Yes, that's why it's so important to us. We saw you leave, but you were gone before we could approach you. Listen, we can't wander around in this emptiness anymore. There's a campfire and a few sleeping bags here. A real luxury in these dark times. What do you say? Oh, of course. I'd be very grateful if we could team up. I want to restore everything. I've begun to remember the world as it was before. But there's no point to it without other people. It's too lonely without them. Remembering the world? I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm too exhausted. But we'd be glad if you could help us, and we'd be glad to help you. Just don't ask us to go with you. I don't know how you managed to return, but for us, leaving the group is too dangerous. Fair enough, let the warrior deal with it. I will ask no such thing of you. For now, I just want to have a place to return to, a place where I can hear other people's voices. We weren't joking about helping you. Here are the few things that survived the cataclysm and don't vanish away. It's probably meant to be didn't, but can't be forgotten. Take them. You might need them. Thank you for those resources. So we've picked up one of these rations. Some more wood. So let's see if we can build anything new. We can now build a filled kitchen, and I think we should do that right away. This improves the campfire's healing power. It was 20% before, and we're going to get an additional 10%. And clear after that run, we needed more sustain. Let's place this to the south for now. Do you know the difference between a good cook and a bad cook? The food made by a good cook is tastier. What? You were waiting for something more elaborate? Sometimes the truth is very simple. Look, I have a cauldron, a hearth, a couple of knives, a bucket of potatoes, 3 onions and some ham. Nothing special. I mean, I don't know about you, but that sounds very special to me. Everything is very simple. But give me a few minutes and everyone in this camp will be running to my table, following the tasty smell of a good stew. Okay. For now, we can't build anything else. I also forgot to mention this field kitchen unlocked a new card for us called Blood Growth, which you should be able to add to our deck. But we'll deal with that next time. I think we'll stop for here. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm really loving this so far. I look forward to playing more into this game and seeing what else it offers. And I hope you can do it with me. Feel free to like and subscribe and comment. All are appreciated, and see you later.